done for me lately? It's Coons. What have y'all done for us lately? And if there's no answer, the only thing we owe them.
Welcome to Let's Talk 2. Tonight is Tuesday night. Tuesday night is our night. Tuesday night is fun night. Tuesday night we always have Stazima here. For those people who are in the chat who have been following along with us, Sister Azima has come to bless her presence with being here, sharing information with us. We're coming back full circle. And the reason why I believe, and she will explain a little bit better, that she decided to run it back, as they would say, and come back to this topic is because understanding cymatic energy, understanding vibration will put you in tune with what's going on around you, in you, and knowing how to juggle that, knowing when it's your season, when it's not your season. And Sister Azim is here to explain some things. Good evening, young lady.
Oh God, thank you. I feel privileged to be a young lady. Good evening, everybody. I
I
know,
thought bad
huh?
weather. Said I
Yeah,
thought you sent me bad weather.
well, you know, the weather is coming because of Three Eye Atlas, so you can't blame that on me. And I know you all have heard about Three Eye Atlas, and I'm sure you're wondering why they say Three Eye. It's the third interstellar object that has come into our solar system in the last two, in the last 5 to 10 years. So we've had three major objects that have come here, and they wanted to say they were all comets, but they weren't because many of them, all three of them, have been self-directed. A comet only moves around where it feels the energy or the wavelengths, but
Yeah.
these objects that are coming in here, they are self-directed, so they can come up behind something and go around it, go over it, go under it. And so we know that it's self-directed. On December 19th, you should be able to see the third one. It will be within your ability to see it with your eye. It'll look like a star moving, but if you have a telescope or good binoculars, you'll be able to see the object clearly. So, getting back to why this is important is that right now you may have heard a lot of religious people say this is the time, the second coming, and all of these things. Or you're going to hear them say that God is going to walk on the earth. Well, what they're really trying to tell you is that you are coming into the awakening, and the awakening is not a physical person walking on the planet to save you. It is the ability the, for the melanin that is within the brain stem and in the brain and on your skin, it's vibrating to the frequency of the cosmos, the cosmic energies in the universe. And with that vibration, it's creating the ability for you to become very knowledgeable about what's going on around you and see it clearly instead of it being veiled. And when I say veiled, instead of you seeing it only through the scope of established traditions of education and understanding. And you get a chance to step back and go like, oh, I don't know. Let me investigate that. That looks like it might be something else. And so Chat GPT brought all that to play as well. A lot of people have been going to them, particularly non-melanated people, trying to find out this whole God piece in their mind. And Chat is explaining it to them the way many of us who already understand that there was the great source, the one, how we identify it, lives within you. It is not um, separate from, and it's constantly vibrating the pineal gland within the brain to allow you to be on that same frequency. And people, I don't know where y'all got this 4C and all this 3C, but people that have woolly hair, curly hair, your hair acts like an antenna, and it has the ability to literally download the constant information that you're receiving from the cosmos. Now, let's get down to it. We know that a vibration is nothing more than um, a vibration is nothing more than sound, sound that travels on a wave. So you can have a sawtooth wave, you can have a square tooth wave, you can have the undulating wave. But what it is that it's sound, and sound is vibrating on this wave, whether it's a hum or if it's a bing, whatever it is, it's vibrating on this waveform. And that waveform, when it meets any other object, let's say heat or atoms or protons or sand or water, it will begin to ripple out like when you throw a rock in water in a spring or a river or a lake and you see those rings. That is the fact that the rock created a sound, and the sound creates these waves, and these waves are moving out. And as they move out, they create frequency. And that frequency is what we interpret as energy. Okay. So this frequency is moving. As that frequency is moving, the more obstacles it meets, it's going to begin to create anodes, things that don't move or move very slowly in that frequency. And, um, oh, sorry, anodes are things that move rapidly in the frequency, and nodes are things that move very slowly within that frequency. While you're watching that take place, it begins to take shape. And those shapes, when you put up that picture that you had shown me with those shapes, these shapes become forms. And these forms, as you can see, look differently at different frequencies. So you are a frequency, whether you realize it or not. You are a sound vibration. When you go to the doctor has to listen to your body. Why? Because that's the only way they can hear the subtle changes in the sound of the frequency of the body to determine what's wrong with you. And I don't mean the frequency that just comes out of your mouth. All of us, have gone someplace and it didn't feel, as we say, kosher. The vibe wasn't right. That's the frequency those people are giving off in the room that they're in or the building that they're in. even within structures can be built on particular ley lines. Ley lines are grids, where you have lines that go up and down, latitudinal lines and longitudinal. Longitudinal or horizontal. Latitude is vertical. And when buildings, cities, houses, trees, whatever come across certain ley lines, it creates this frequency. It's like striking the string on a guitar. It could be E, C, D, whatever that frequency is. And so the cymatic energy is going to vibrate to certain frequencies. Those frequencies become musical notes. In you, they become mathematical equations and musical sound. So, when you sing, when you hum, when you're in a good mood, all of that is your vibratory energy moving to the frequency that makes them happy around them. And you up in the morning, even if you're having a bad day and you're rushing out the house, doing what you got to do, you get on the highway and something just goes right. And you're like, man, this is a good day. Or you have that day where you got up in plenty of time, you're out the door, you're on schedule, you hit certain streets, and it's like, what in the world? And that's because the energies in those patterns, those waveforms, affect you. Three Eye Atlas, the third interstellar, um, I don't the we call it the Voyager, the third interstellar Voyager is now on the back side of the moon, has come around to the front side of the moon, and is moving past Mercury and Mars heading to Earth. So by December 19th, we should be able to see it. To me, that's very important because in this awakening state, what is happening is that the overall system and structure had been stuck in isms. Remember, we talked about isms, how you control people through isms? What happens with cymatic frequency, it creates what we call harmonic balance. And that is where we have to be now, heading towards harmonic balance. It can't be all patrilineal and women have no role. And it can't be all matrilineal and men have no role. There's no such thing. In cymatic frequencies, okay, or in the great knowing, we're not looking for gender specifics. We're looking for the fact that you have the ability to meld feminine energy with masculine energy, which allows you to be balanced. And in that balanced state, you're able to spin like a top and it's on its tip. And it's not going to tip over anywhere it goes. It's because it's in its balanced state. And when you're in a balanced state, you have the ability to literally manifest the things you need. Break that word down. Manually fest, manually manipulate the environment around you to create what you need.
Mm.
Okay. And we take that for granted because many of you do it every single day. You'll say, I want to take this trip. And what do? You write it down, you say it to yourself over and over. You make up a song or a mantra, or you talk to the people that are going to go with you on the trip. You do your planning. All of that is manifesting it into what we call that reality. That manifesting is all the energy you're putting out there, the frequency that you're doing it to create it into existence. And then it comes time for the trip, and you're on the trip and you enjoy it. You can't figure out why you have a good time, but you have done all the things, you've manifested it. Now, Quentin, can you put up the one that says name frequency?
Was it this one?
The pictures that I sent you, it should have name frequency across the top. Okay. On this one, what I did was that in the what we call sacred sciences, sacred geometry, your name, the letters in your name, first, middle, last, including junior or title, esquire or whatever, each letter vibrates to a certain frequency. And so in the name frequency, you'll see we have numbers 1 through 9. Why? Because we're in base 10 system. Okay. And base 10 means you have 0 in the beginning and it goes only to 9, but that's 10 positions. 0 through 9 is 10 positions. Okay. When you hit the number 10, it says we have no more single digits and only one set of tens. So that is why here it's only 1 through 9. You will put the letters of the alphabet. We have 26 of them. In some other cultures, there's like 2,000, images. It may not necessarily be letters of an alphabet, but in the Mandarin language, you have about almost 1,000 images. And so in some uh, Coptic languages, you're going to have 1,000 or more images. But what you do is that you go 1 through 9 and you put the letters of the alphabet under each one. So like in the ninth position, I and R are considered 9. In the sixth position, you have F, 0, and X. In the first position, you have A, J, and S. So what you do is that you write your name down. I use Quentin's name. And we can see here that the Q is under 8, the U is under 3, the E is under 5, the N is under 5, the T is 2, the I is 9, and the N is 5. And you add those numbers together. Okay. We made the first group. We ended up 8 and 3 is 11, 5 and 5 is 10, 2, 9, and 5 is 16. You add 11 and 10, you get 21 plus 16, which is 37. And then in sacred geometry, you put a plus sign between 3 and 7. That becomes 10. You put a plus sign between 1 and 0, and it ends up being a 1. Then you go back, you remove all the vowels that are in your name. My name, I have all the vowels in my name. Not Azima. My full name, I have pretty much have all the letters in the alphabet in my full name. I don't even know how that happened, but that's just the way it is. And so, but with Quentin, it was easier. I didn't use his last name. I just used his first name. The vowels in his first name are U, E, and I. And those vowels resonate to the number 8. Then there are consonants in his name, Q, N, T, and N, and they resonate to the number 2. And when you put them all together, 1, 8, and 2, you have 11. And 11 is a master number. A master number is a portal. Hear me correctly. Master numbers are portals. St. Louis, Missouri is a master number of 11 and 22. We have a double portal. We are also the city of cemeteries. We also sit on the Cahokia Mounds, the big mound on the side of St. Louis City, and on the smaller, on East St. Louis, which only means east of St. Louis, they have uh, like 20 or 30 of the smaller mounds. They were not burial mounds, they were sacred geometry mounds to match the cosmic calendar. Okay. And that cosmic calendar aligned with all of the things that would be going on when earthquakes would occur, when severe storms would come through, when there would be drought or famine. That was the purpose of the calendar, to map when cosmological events would occur, not to find out when your birthday comes or make plans for your trip. And I'm not trying to be funny, but that was the purpose. And that's why you had so many shamans and learned people, is because they had to teach the ones who were going to come behind them how to read the cosmological calendar. Okay. The cosmological calendar is made up of 13 months Each month has 28 days, which is the cycle of a woman when it comes time for her to have her menstrual cycle or her birth, being able to become impregnated. So when you multiply 28 by 13, you come up with 364 days, which means we're only off by 23 hours and like 42 minutes because you don't have a full 365 days. It's really 364 days, 23 hours, and 42 minutes. Okay. So what is happening is that you, in the Great Awakening, you are now vibrating to the same frequency as the cosmic calendar. And this is why a lot of times you're tired, you're sleepy, you're irritable, things are not going well, you don't understand what's going on, everything is confusing you, you don't want to deal with it. This is why. Okay. Not only does your name vibrate, can you put up the next one? Um, it should have the birthday frequency. Okay. Okay, you delete on that one. Okay. So on this one, what we did was that we looked at that's where I entered everything together in Quentin's name, 1, 8, and 2. Okay, and it gave us 11, which is a master number. That master number is your life path. In that life path, when you're studying numerology or sacred geometry, it's telling you what it is you're bringing to the table. Okay. Energy does not die, it transmutes. Okay. So you are an energy being, you are housed in an avatar body. I know that sounds crazy, but when you go back and look at the movie Avatar, they were able to suspend that guy's consciousness and put it into the avatar that they made so that they could talk to the Navi. Okay. And that story is based on facts. It's not fiction, it's based on fact. And so instead of us being called the Navi, we were called the Netter or the Netru or nature. So your melanation of skin, dark matter energy, talks to the cosmological calendar, which says these major events are going to occur. What has happened is that over time, the religious sector became the dominant force on the planet and decided that everyone would see the matrix the way they wanted them to see it because it benefited them. And so the aliens, you have a question?
No, no.
Okay. So what happens is that if I dominate how you think and I control the quality of the food, then you are enslaved to my vision, how I envision everything. And what that does is that it limits you. So we always encourage people to go and listen to the frequencies. They do make a sound. Space is not devoid of sound. It's not devoid of sound at all. It has a lot of frequency. Earth vibrates at the frequency of 7.8 hertz. Okay. That's the frequency of Earth. Um, there are the other planets vibrate at their own frequency as well. Let's see if I can.
Let me ask you a question, Sister Azim.
Uh-huh.
And I know that I don't know if you believe that this is important to bring up. In reference to understanding vibration, what one of the main tasks when you worked at NASA, they would have people that all they do is listen to space, outer space. Is that correct?
Yes, you also have it in the Catholic Church. You
So
have
that's
it in
all.
every religious sect. They all have
And
it.
what do
Uh-huh.
they listen?
They're listening for the frequencies and how the frequencies change. And in the change of the frequency, this tells you what major events are occurring because there are historical records documenting it in stone. Okay. In books like this, the Bhagavad, okay, the Bhagavad Gita, I have this book. It documents a lot of things. I have the whole set of the Neteru, okay, by Ron Nefer. I have the Book of Doors. All of these talk about frequency and how it directly impacts everything that goes on. Okay. Book of Doors. Okay. Um, all of these talk about the energies. There's primordial energy. There's 8 of them, and they are masculine and feminine, not in gender, but in the frequency. And so what you're trying to do, because when you came here, you agreed to take a particular form. You could either take a feminine form or a masculine form. And when you take that form, then you have to live that form out and do the work that you need to do to connect your physical form to your consciousness and to work within those parameters to enlighten or help the planet come back into its harmonic balance, which we call the primordials. Okay. And when you come back into that balance under the primordials, it helps you. It helps keep you balanced. All right. So, like I said, the sun vibrates at 340 billion hertz. Mercury vibrates during the day hours at 141. And during the night hours, when we see it at night, it's at 10. Venus is the same. It vibrates 221. And when it comes into its um, cycle, because the Earth cycles, it hits 9 hertz. Earth is 783. The moon is 210 hertz. Mars is 144. Jupiter is 183. Saturn is 147. Uranus. Okay, Nibiru is 740 trillion hertz. The dwarf sun is 1.1 trillion hertz. Pluto is 140. Your astrological sign, I'm a Taurus. I vibrate at 384 hertz. I'm in the divine. I have reached a place where I have harmonic balance. Aries, they're at 266. Gemini, your sign, your birth sign. These are your birth signs, your astrological birth sign. They vibrate to a frequency. That's why it's called sacred geometry. Geometry. It's not
Let me
sacred.
let me ask you, Azima. When for example, when you say to somebody or you say about yourself that you're on a high frequency and you're speaking about yourself, when and you know the frequency that you're dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
you're on.
Mm-hmm.
Are you the only one that can detect that frequency, or others around you could be like, oh, yeah, you on a high frequency right now?
You had never met me when we talked on the phone. After we talked on the phone, the next time we talked, you said what to me? Something along the lines of, "Sister, you're there. There are things that you know. You're very knowledgeable. You're this. You're that." People can see that. Most people who are on high frequency, they are not arrogant. They're very humble. I worked hard to get here, so I'm very humble about that. I'm not arrogant. I don't talk arrogantly. If I do and I make a mistake, I'll be the first one to tell you I'm sorry. Um, and I mean that you know, genuinely, truly. So what happens is that the the frequency, the purpose of it is to allow you to better understand who you are and your true journey. All of this stuff with Trump and the Democrats and Republicans, everything with Netanyahu, all the stuff with Yellen and the Treasury Department, those are absolutely distortions. And the distortions keep you from getting back to who you are. When you
What,
come to that place of knowing who you are, I'm sorry.
what most people would say is a distraction. You said it was a distortion, which I definitely agree with that word, a distortion. And most people will say, "Oh, it's a distraction from other stuff." Well, explain what you mean by saying it's a distortion.
When something is distorted, you're like this, you can't understand anything, it's not clear. And it always creates anxiety. A distraction is driving down the street and you go like, that's a distraction. It's quick and it's temporary. A distortion is a continuation of a particular energy that they wish to place up on you in order for you to feel a certain way. Slavery was a major distortion. Okay. Destruction of the matrilineal in this society and culture, not just America, but in the world culture, is a major distortion. And so you have women who are trying to pull it back to the center, but they themselves are so distorted in how they're trying to get it here that they're going left instead of center, or they're going far right instead of center. And then you still have, they say, the battles between the sexes. There's only one energy, and that's source. You happen to be able to manifest an aspect of that. Remember when we talked about when source became aware? It was already conscious, but then it became aware. Okay. A conscious is like a person who was placed in a coma and now they are awake, but they can't move their body to talk to you. They are conscious. They are not aware so that they can move the body or make sounds for you to recognize that they're here. When they become aware and make these sounds began to expand, and that is how we got to frequencies or cymatic frequencies. Cymatic frequencies are when sound that's vibrating to its highest amplitude can transmute and make a form, a star, a cluster, an angle, an atom. That is what it's doing so that it can continue to carry on the balanced energy of the frequency. The frequency is always trying to get back to its balanced point. And whether you all realize it or not, every single day you're trying hard to get back to God. And if God is your center point, that is what you're doing every single day. And so cymatic frequency is the real energy that's out there. The whole time we've been out there looking for God, it came back as a frequency. Remember in the beginning there was the word and the word was Om. And what we did is that we made that word into a person. We anthropomorphized it into a person. We made it, we took it from just being the frequency that it is and decided we're going to give it a name. And of course, we made it a man. But the first time bifurcation occurred, it was when the female, the great she, separated into two energy fields, masculine and feminine. Okay. There are masculine men that have a lot of feminine energy. It doesn't mean that they're feminine acting. It just means that they have reached a place where they have the ability to show you empathy, compassion, love openly, and it doesn't distort them. Just like there are women that have masculine energy, it doesn't make them a butch or all these other names. It just merely means that she has the ability to be very logical and practical, on top of having compassion, so that you don't start something you cannot complete. And so your role when you came here was to come to enlighten the world, free it up from where it is now, because it's under deep patrilineal views, okay, that tend to be very negative towards anyone that is not white male dominated. And the white men are tired of hearing it, but that is how this distortion manifested itself or propagated itself. It was already manifested, but it propagated itself to the point that we could only look at white men that had money and that were educated, because poor white men didn't get the same benefits as white men that were educated. And so the distortion, not a distraction, because a distraction is instantaneous and you can go back. A distortion is continuous. Poor white trash. They'll say that. Black folks in the ghetto. You hear that. That's a distortion, because what it does is that it lowers your vibratory frequency that hits your pineal gland, and you're going to listen to that. And it distracts you from the ability to be who you really are. So if you were in a place where all you heard all day long was, oh, me, woe is me, I don't know. At the end of the day, you're going to be angry because it's taking something from you. It's taking your consciousness and bending it, flexing it, distorting it, so that all you can be is that woe is me. I'm never going to get ahead. I can't do this. I don't know how to do any of that. And the distortion becomes so great, it distracts you from your ability to move forward. So the cymatic frequency is the absolute beginning of where we get to state of Om. Okay. When you get to that state, you will see things differently. Now, I have the beads, the 108 beads. There's 108 bones in the body that you really need along certain parameters. Really 237, but the 108 key ones are the ones that are right in here and down the spine. And when you say Om and you say it correctly and you're sitting in the proper posture, you will feel it resonate right here in this chest cavity and the heart chakras. Okay. And then you can feel it in the back of your neck as it goes up your spine and hits the base of it, right up in here and then in here. You can literally feel it. Now, you may think I'm joking. You go to church and those women get to singing that gospel, God's spell to you. The hair on your skin will literally stand up. Why? Because it's resonating to that frequency that's you. And you, at that time, open up your pineal gland to accept whatever those words are saying. So if they're singing I'm a wretch, that's what you're going to hang on to. If they're saying I'm being uplifted, that's what you will hang on to. It is the same thing when you hear the 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 people at the Quran when they're going through, you know, when the Muslims are going through the Quran and they're saying the mantra over and over and over and over. What it does is that it elevates the consciousness. It elevates the pineal gland because the pineal gland looks like a pine cone, but it's the size of a pea. But it vibrates so fast. I mean, it vibrates so fast you can't see it, but it's vibrating and touching everything along the ear canal where you hear, everything behind your eyes, everything along your face here, and always down the spine. And with that vibration, this is where you get what you call your instincts, your intuitive stuff, where you're out someplace and you're like, let me look around. I don't know what's going on. Okay, that is your pineal gland. That is the God force within you telling you this is out of place. The frequency here doesn't work with you. Be alert. And that's what you do. And even though it may be in a familiar surrounding, something is amiss. So you have to be on high alert. And the minute you get on high alert, nothing happens. It's because now you are in tune. And you will be surprised. You'll hear stuff and you'll be able to look over and go like, don't mess with me. And people can pick that up. They don't bother you. But that is what happens with frequency. The frequency also impacts what goes on. This is the Medu Netter. That's another book we're talking about. Okay. And it talks about the netter means the universe, the netter, the nature, the primordial energies. Okay. So what has happened is that Earth has had individuals that have come together as a clan and later as a conglomeration. And they began to put pressure upon the planet to create things like war, famine, okay, um, forcing people to come away from the farmlands into the cities to work because you didn't have enough workers in the city. The same with homelessness, all of that is forced frequency manipulation. And I know people, I'm going to tell you, every politician, every big politician, that includes Trump, they have their, we call them soothsayers, but they have their, I don't want to call them zodiac readers or horoscope readers, but they have their cosmic people can come and tell them these are the major events that are going to trouble this planet. And it's going to hit over here, it's going to hit over here. And part of that outbox or outcasting of it will impact certain parts of the United States. And you know that. The hurricanes that just went by, what was the name of that hurricane? That just
Listen,
went by through Jamaica and all of that. It impacted us because it dropped rain across the great Midwest and the temperatures dropped. So there is nothing on the planet that doesn't impact other parts of the planet. And those are waves of frequency energies that are doing that. If the energy was static, it didn't matter where the tornado or hurricane was. It wouldn't impact anything but where where it was static. But it is not static. Okay. Most hurricanes come off of the west coast of Africa. You know, the Ivory Coast, okay, Martinique, Morocco, all of those, that's the west coast of Africa. The east coast of Africa is where you touch what they call Saudi Arabia, but all of that is North Africa. Okay. So, and the reason it comes off of there is because your planet is turning pretty fast. You can't feel it because it's in a balanced state. Okay. And you know, when you put water in a bucket and you start sloshing that water around, some of it flies off. But once you get that bucket into a balanced state, the water doesn't do anything. It just goes along the sides or the rims of the bucket and comes back down. When it goes along the rim of the bucket, then that's when you have your storms. And there's a reason for having the storms, because if you don't have the storms, the planet can't stay green and it won't be able to produce the oxygen and nitrogen and helium that we breathe in and think is all oxygen, but it's that mixture. So if you don't have that, then that changes the frequency and vibration of the vibrations of the planet and the frequency in which it vibrates determines how healthy your planet is. See, now they're telling you, oh, there's water on Mars, but they never talked about it when I first started working with NASA. That was a shh, you're not going to say anything. But now we have to talk about it because there's no way to get around it. And many of the people, including Black folks who are studying archaeology and who are out here going on these archaeological tours and digs and all of that, they're digging this information up and they're reading it because they've learned how to read the ancient hieroglyphic language or the Coptic language, you know. So when they're reading it, they're like, wait a minute, that's not the story you told me. This is what it's saying here. So they don't have a way to refute it. So they'd rather not say anything. The more you know about frequency and cymatic energy, the more you're able to distance yourself from the noise, the rhetoric. Okay. It doesn't change the fact, it really does. Well, it does change. It changes how you approach your work and how you're able to get in there and manipulate. Everything here is a frequency, including money.
Let me ask you: is that when you're able to realize that all that other stuff is nothing but clutter,
Right.
and it has a frequency that it's on, and you're on a different frequency, and your frequency got you so focused and in tune with what you got going on, that clutter, you know, is there. You know that other frequency is there, and it's trying to invade in your frequency, but you're able to ward it off, so to say.
Well, what it really does is that it changes the frequency of the planet. It literally changes the frequency of the planet. It changes everything about the planet. See, right now, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. And there was a time we would run out there and participate. We would be spearheading the marches and the this and the that. And we have come to a place where we're like, no. And you're thinking it's just Black people are tired. That's part of it. But we're also in what we call the Great Awakening. And in that Great Awakening, we don't have time for silliness. Okay, you don't have the time because
Literally.
what you have to do is get yourself prepared to be able to help your families recognize their role. We can't say it's not your place, it's not my place to save Quentin or anybody in this audience. It's my place to give you the information, point you in the directions, show you how to obtain this, how to use it if we have a class on it. But it is not my place to save you because I wasn't born into your frequency. Even if you're a twin, an identical twin, your twin wasn't born into your frequency. It was born into the frequency to match you. That's what made you twins. but it's not born to live your life. Okay. So what happens is that when you get to that place of your divinity, where you no longer allow other things to divide your attention or distort your attention, then what you do is that you have the ability to bring into your wealth, because wealth is your spiritual understanding, understanding. Okay. Your spiritual understanding gives you unconditional love. It doesn't mean that you will accept abuse. It just means that I love you where you are, but I don't have to put up with your stuff because I love you more. You can't show someone else love when you don't know how to love yourself. Okay. And what has happened is that as a world of people, melanated skinned people throughout the diaspora, we're like, we're done. Okay. You've been silly. We've tried to help you. We've tried to reason with you. We've allowed you to disrespect us and physically harm us, and we're not doing it anymore. And they're more angry because we're not participating. This is the time when you have to heal. Let them go after Trump because he's the face of that. This is the time in which we have to heal, where we must have that greater understanding. And like I said, money is a frequency. Learn some affirmations to bring it to you. Like money comes to me easily, money comes to me fast, money loves my company when money comes at last. Do it as a rhyme, do it as a rap. There's another one called Ching 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 Goes My Money Tree, and every time it chings, that is money for me. And I mean, once you learn the affirmations, they are frequencies that allow you to bring the energy to you in order to achieve your goal. It doesn't stand apart from you. What you're conditioned to believe is that working and earning money is entirely different than seeing it as a tool. My car is something entirely different than seeing it as a tool. Everything in front of you is a frequency tool. Learn the frequency, say the affirmation, and you will be amazed how things will begin to come to you. Okay? And so that is what you do. And you call upon that. Okay? And you can do it, sia eka, pata neturu. You can learn that. And you say that because those are the words that vibrate to the pineal gland. Anything you think, everybody says, what's faster than, people say, nothing's faster than the speed of light. That's not true. Thought, THOUGH, thought. You'll think it before light even comes along. Okay. And you do because it's in your brain and you're thinking it all the time. So I encourage you all to go out and listen to the frequencies. I encourage you to look up your astrological sign and get the frequency for that astrological sign. I encourage you to go out there to the Zodiac people Cafe Zodiac, Cafe Astrological, and they will do a complete chart. It's called a natal chart, not a birth chart, not a zodiac chart or a horoscope. It's a natal chart. And the natal, Natal, natal chart tells you at the time of your birth, this is the energies that are going to directly impact all 12 of your houses. It's really 13 houses, but the 13th house is you. So you get to see see what people don't understand. When Jesus was at the dinner table with the 12 disciples, he's number 13. He was representing all the houses. So there are 13 houses, and the 13 houses only have 28 positions within them. Okay. Those 28 positions, when you multiply by 13, gives you 364 days in a year. And since there's not 365, there's 364 days, 23 hours, and 42 minutes. Those last 23 hours are insignificant because it's between the end of one cycle and the beginning of the new. And that is why everybody else around the world who has their rituals, they're doing their rituals on a 13-month calendar, not a 12-month calendar. And whether you realize it or not, even with those 12 months, every 3 months, you get an extra pay cycle. You get it 4 times a year. So that gives you the 13th month, and you're not realizing it. There are 52 weeks in a year. That's 13 months. So what they have done is that they've taken the Gregorian process and they have confused it. They've compounded. It's the overlaying principle. Like your phone is operating, but it also has an overarching software that controls the phone. So you can get things done, look stuff up, and it doesn't crash out on you. Same thing with your computer. The global energy is an overarching energy of religious preferences that's dominated with a patrilineal viewpoint that absolutely hates human energy. And so it will manifest brutality towards women in a lot of ways. But what happens is that it also comes back and slaps men on the backside, broadsides them with destroying the household through the female. And then you have all of this cyclical stuff. Women don't like men, men don't like women. That's frequencies. The frequencies are always harmonic when you hear them. It's like a symphony. My husband and I never let our daughters listen to choppy music like rap and rock, because you only get what we call staccato. Staccato is, but you never get the. And what happens is that
You mean the conflict in the vibration?
when that's all you hear is conflict. You never get a chance to hear where it takes a rest. And anyone that writes music, even people who do rap, they'll rap da 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 da. They have to follow a rhythm, and then they have a break, because you can't absorb the information if you don't have a break. And it's the way computers work. It downloads the data. It's just taking information in like a flood. And then that break allows it to disseminate it. Send that here, send this there, send boom, boom, boom. That's what it does. That's what you do. And so as you learn these processes, this is what brings you to your place of peace. It doesn't mean that you don't have bad days, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wonderful days. It just merely means that when you get to those days, instead of saying, "Man, that's a bad day," what what we say is that right now, life is living me. I'm not living life, so I'm not in control of the things that are around me. The only thing I can control is me. Okay, and then by you controlling you, you control how you respond to the things that you have no control over. Because a lot of times you aren't supposed to control it. You're supposed to step back, reflect. That's the whole purpose of reflection. That's the whole purpose of recreation. You create something and then you recreate it in play or in rest so that you have the ability to have truer understanding. That's why you reflect. But they don't teach us that. What they've done is taken all the information and gave it to you as pieces of paper. Here's a piece of paper. Here's a piece of paper. There's another piece of paper. And they don't give you chapter 1. They give you chapter 4, page 12, chapter 2, page 210, chapter 1, page 6. And you're like, what am I going to do with this? And that's by design. Because now you have to file it away and hope that in the future something will trigger it for you to pull it back. When you come to a balanced place, you don't have to store data. You release it, but when you need it, you say certain words and it will come flying back to you. Literally, it will come and sit within your consciousness, and you'll be like, okay, what did you say? Well, let me tell you this. And it is like this. And we're going to do it this way. Oh, no, let me help you over there. And this is what keeps you balanced. So when I was talking about frequency and all of that, I was just laying the foundation. It is so different. It's deeper than you think. And the funny part is that the global elite use it against you. They go out, they do the midnight rituals. They go out and look at the astrological signs. Clinton over here laughing. Clinton over here laughing. But they do that. Why? They have a whole group of nuns that just pray, okay, to bring about cosmological events, okay, in every religious order, whether it's the monks or the nuns. They're going to be out here doing that. You have to know how to go out every season. Why do they do the rituals at night? It's because there's not a lot of noise or distortion, and they have the ability to have a direct line to what they need to speak to, whether it's Sirius B, whether it's the moon, the energies off of the moon, whether it's the energies off of the sun. It is the energy wave that you're trying to, you know, be in tune with. Because our planet, our entire solar system is moving through, okay? It's moving through our galaxy like a corkscrew. It's not stationary. The planets going around our sun, both suns, the dwarf sun and our red sun, are stationary in that respect. But the whole solar system is moving like a corkscrew through the galaxy. So every time it hits a new place in the galaxy, you're going to be affected by that frequency in that part of the galaxy. And so the cosmological or astrological calendars tell you, well, it'll take us 3,572 years to get to point T. And when we get there, we're going to have balance and harmony, wealth, and all of this kind of stuff. We need to prepare the people. This is not new, okay? This is not a new process. And they've been cataloging this information for hundreds of thousands of years. They wrote it in stone. And when the elites couldn't understand it, they destroyed it out of fear and ignorance. And they made it hokey pokey, spooky wooky. And they do that because it shuts down that part of the brain that will open up and accept the energies that come in. Oh, those are ghosts. Maybe they're not. Maybe there are people who have met a dimensional portal and are able to come through. But we see them, in this clouded mist, and they look like a ghost. It doesn't mean that every entity that comes through is going to be calm and all of this, because they're probably scared just like you, learning how to do this. Oh, I stumbled up on this. I'm learning how to do this. And they're frightened. But when you have a system that tells you everything is bad, When I worked for NASA and melanated skinned people came from other countries, do you know they were told not to talk to any black people in America? Because we're bad. Literally, they were told we were bad people. We would hurt them. We will bite their heads off. And I used to laugh at the stuff that they said, but this is what they were told. And if they began to develop friendships with us, they were deported. One day they're there, the next day they're like, "What happened to some? Oh, you had to go home. What?" And so they learn to be distant from us. And so that's why I'm saying the distortion, it's a distortion because they have been out here distorting the truth, the facts, so that people stand away from you, shaming you, shunning you. But you're the reason, white people don't have diseases because you taught them hygiene. Okay. We're the reason they're able to read and speak. Okay. The language we speak now, I don't care if it's Mandarin or whatever, that's the Vulgate language. And Vulgate means the common language, the vulgar language. We used to speak classical language. People understood us, but the classical language gave you, I don't want to say authority, but yes, in a way, it gave you authority because they understood that you're giving us direction and you're making the direction very clear. And if we deviate from that, terrible things can happen to us. Not authority like I'm your so and so, but more like authority. This is how it should be done. And we called it authoritative utterance, not authority like military authority, but authoritative utterance. Because when we uttered those words, it removed all doubt on how things had to be done. And everything fell into the principles, the divine order, the divine principles, which means you can't do it any other way but that way. Because when you do it a different way, you get lethal outcomes.
Mm.
So you are a frequency that's living in a host body that was made or developed or created to be on this planet. Now, it doesn't mean you can't go to another planet, but you're going to have to dress and act accordingly to be on that planet and to create environments in which you can survive on these other planets. So the purpose of you knowing your frequency and about you, that's why I said everything is about knowing you. As you know yourself, there's a saying, Sia eka sia eka pata neteru, it means know thyself because the universe already knows you. Because you came from the universe and you lowered your frequency in order to take on this form. And when you take on this form, you are here within this frequency. And sometimes you leave. And I'm going to give you a quick example. Some of you go to bed, you get to sleeping, you get that REM sleep going, as they say, rapid eye movement. Okay, so you get up in the morning and you're like, my God, I'm so tired. I went to bed early. I had 12 hours worth of sleep. What has happened is that the body is asleep. It's in its stasis, resting state. But your consciousness has the ability to move and it lives. And it goes and does whatever other work you got on your mind, that agenda, and then you come back and it resettles into your body because it only knows it has a finite window to do what it needs to do. And then you wake up and you're like, I'm tired. That's because you were busy.
And you be sitting there trying to get up and your body can't move, but your conscience is trying to move.
Right. And so when you finally get the two working together, You'll come back home and you'll go to bed. Instead of going to bed at 10 o'clock, you might not go to bed till midnight, but that'd be the best sleep you ever had, them 6 hours, because you've already gone out and done the work. Your consciousness has already done that. So if your consciousness can leave your body when you're in a awakened state, okay, what we call alive, what does it do when the body no longer functions? The consciousness doesn't die. It can go and sit in any other place it needs to sit. Or if it still has unfinished business or trauma that becomes epigenetic, it means you're passing down from one spiritual generation to another. You're going to come back because you're going to need to fix it. Or you can get yourself trapped and coming back. But in this new awakening that we have, it allows us to be able to see how our frequency moves and the things we need to do to embrace that and not run from it. It will be hard for some people. You know, they're talking about the reptiles and all that kind of stuff. And I'm getting ready to tell you the great green, which is a melanated person like the great blue and the great black. Okay. Shiva was a great blue. He was a blue black. And you've seen Africans that are so dark, they have a blue purple tinge to the pigmentation in their skin. Okay. There are some indigenous people, the Papua New Guinea and places like that, they are so dark brown, you can see the green tinge in their skin. And these are the reptiles. So please don't be, don't let the white man see. This is where we get to distortion, because he's gonna have you looking for
Uh,
alligator.
they have
Okay,
you. They have you thinking
crocodile.
you don't see what you see. You
Right.
see that person is so dark that they have these purple tones in them,
Hmm.
and you'll be like, "Am I seeing something?" No, you see what you're supposed to see, exactly
Correct.
clear.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right. And there are people who are so brown that they have a green tinge.
yeah.
Okay. So the purpose of the frequency, I would like for you all to go out, instead of listening to whatever, try listening to the love frequency, which is 432. Okay. Or you can use the 369. There's frequency 369, there's frequency 639, and then there's frequency 936. Okay. You can listen to any of those frequencies because they are all sacred geometry. See, 639 and 963 is the same thing, just like 396. It's listening to these frequencies, okay? Oneness and enlightenment, connection and love, okay? Natural harmony is 432. 528 is when you are doing transformations.
Mm.
And so, like when I'm under a great deal of stress, I will listen to my frequencies. I'll listen to all of them, the Sufugio, and that's Selfeggio, Sufugio, and they go through all of those frequencies. But it runs for 8 hours, and believe me, you will go right to sleep, and you will wake up refreshed, and you'll be like, "Ah, what?" Okay, because that's what it does. It's realigning you. It's like a tuning fork. It's ding, and you can put it on different parts of the body, and it starts aligning those chakras. The chakras are usually where your organs are, the major organs in your body. They give off a certain light frequency and a vibratory frequency, and so that's what we're doing. We are in a state of what we call self healing, self love as a melanated group of people. And we can't allow the distortions because the distortions are always racism, sexism, divisionism. Oh my God, you got to worry about, the EBT. People are still eating. Okay. And I really want you to have a greater understanding of that. You hear people say, well, Trump's going to get rid of Social Security. No, he did not. What he did was that he reduced the debt on the Social Security. What he did with the food stamps and the EBT was that he stopped the white people who were using it fraudulently, who were getting $20,000 a year of your tax dollars. But the lady down the street or your grandmama or your mother around the corner was getting $25 in food stamps. And here they were getting a car, all of their housing needs taken care of, as well as food. And they only
And
had
you
like 3 or 4 people in the house. So
and
what he's
you
doing
want to
is
know how to stamps.
right. And so what he was doing was he's pointing that out. The face of welfare is me, Quentin. It's not. We only make up we make up 8 million of the 43 million. It's white people first, male and female, can't be for you. And then it's Hispanic people second, okay? And then we're third, and then the indigenous population, and then Asians. Wow. So he was like, no. I mean, when they found out they had a $530 million fraud going on in the food stamp, where is it going? And the sad part was he didn't take anybody off of food stamps that needed it. Because I have a niece that has COPD. And I called her up. She said, no, Auntie, I'm still getting my food stamps. I'm still getting these benefits. And then she went on to explain to me, no, he was taking those people who were able bodied and they were working. Why should they? They got the house paid for, all the utilities paid for, and food. So why were they working? So the distortion, that's distortion. And when you have enough distortion, it distracts you. And when you're distracted, a confused mind shuts down and you won't look beyond the distractions, which now are distortions. Because the distortions have been here for over 400 years. And it peaks in moments, you get these little peak moments. And what it
So,
does is that it piques you to be upset. The more upset you are, the less likely you can come into your harmonic balance.
so with that, glad Sister Azima was willing to discuss vibrations again. And I know next week we will get more into it. This is just we'll be discussing it for a second. And some questions that I want to ask her that will be give us till next week and give us some more clarity and be able to have a discussion. We all need to be able to get to our vibration plateau. We need to get to. She is going to
Yeah, we
help
just
us.
want you to get to your harmonic balance. Once you get to your balance, you'll be surprised how it changes everything for you. It literally, it's almost, what was that commercial? Wow, I could have had a V8. It's really like that. It really is. And you will be surprised. It will eliminate energy people that have no purpose in your life. That includes family. And it's
That's
not
amazing. That's
dislike,
amazing. Use
huh?
that. They use this. It's amazing that they even use that slogan for a commercial where they were giving where you were supposed to drink vegetable juice
Right.
that was processed to get
Process.
you in balance and in tune.
Yeah, it was processed. It was highly processed. That's the sad part.
A
And
lot
I
of
think
salt
something
sugar
else
in
that
that.
and we'll talk about that. They have us eating nightshades, and we're going to talk about that on the next one because you all can be out here eating all the vegetables you want, And until you realize which ones you can't put in your system as you mature because it's filled with arsenic, okay, but you're eating it anyway because you like it. It's in salads, very things you're not supposed to have, like white potatoes and tomatoes. There's a
So
way.
with that,
Mhm. But with
so
that, I'm happy. Thank you very much for letting me talk. It's on you.
with that, have a great night. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Take care.